The transport ship's engines hummed quietly as it approached the dark research station floating in space. Sergeant Kim Woo pressed his face against the small window and frowned. Research Outpost Gamma looked completely dead. No lights flickered in the windows. No communication signals reached their ship. For 3 weeks, nobody had heard anything from the scientists working there. Kim Woo turned to his team of 4 soldiers. They were all young but experienced. Private Lee Hanna checked her weapon for the 3rd time. Corporal Park Dae stared at his scanner with worried eyes. The other 2 soldiers, Jin Soo and Bo Ram, whispered quietly to each other about what they might find inside. "Remember the mission," Kim Woo said in a calm voice. "We go in, find out what happened to the research team, and report back. Stay together. Trust your training." The docking process felt longer than usual. When their ship finally connected to the station, Kim Woo heard the familiar hiss of air pressure equalizing. He grabbed his rifle and stepped toward the airlock door. His heart beat faster than normal, but he didn't let his team see his nervousness. The station's corridors were completely silent when they first entered. Emergency lighting cast red shadows on the walls. Kim Woo had been on many abandoned stations before, but this one felt different. The air was too still, too quiet. Even their footsteps seemed too loud. "Sir," Lee Hanna whispered, pointing at scratch marks on the metal wall. "Look at these." The scratches were deep and looked fresh. They ran along the walls in long, parallel lines, as if something with very sharp claws had dragged them across the surface. Kim Woo touched one of the marks. The metal was actually torn, not just scratched. They moved deeper into the station, following the main corridor toward the research labs. That's when they started hearing the sounds. Soft, scratching noises came from somewhere below them. The sound stopped and started randomly, like something was moving around in the lower levels of the station. Park Dae checked his motion scanner. "I'm getting movement readings, but they're weird. The patterns don't look human." In the security office, they found what they were looking for. The main computer was still working, and it had recorded everything that happened during the past 3 weeks. Kim Woo accessed the video files and started playing the recordings on the large screen. The first videos looked normal. Scientists in white coats worked in their labs, studying samples and taking notes. Dr. Song Min-ah, the head researcher, appeared in several recordings explaining their work with alien specimens they had found on the planet below. But as Kim Woo fast-forwarded through the recordings, things began to change. The scientists started acting strangely. Their movements became too smooth, too graceful. Their eyes reflected light differently in the videos. They smiled too much, even when nothing funny was happening. In the final recording, Dr. Song Min-ah stared directly into the camera. Her eyes glowed with a strange golden light. She spoke in a voice that sounded like her own, but something was wrong with the way she formed her words. "The gift has been given to us," she said with that unnatural smile. "Soon, others will understand. The change is beautiful. The change is necessary." The recording ended there. Kim Woo and his team stood in the dark security office, staring at the blank screen. The scratching sounds from below seemed to be getting louder. The scratching sounds led Kim Woo's team deeper into the research station. They moved carefully through the dim corridors, their weapons ready. The emergency lights flickered occasionally, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Everything felt wrong about this place. They reached the main laboratory section when they heard footsteps approaching. Normal human footsteps, but somehow too quiet and too perfect. Kim Woo raised his hand, signaling his team to stop and take cover behind some equipment crates. A woman in a white lab coat walked into view. Kim Woo recognized her immediately from the station files. Dr. Park Yeon, the lead biologist. She looked exactly like her photos, except for her eyes. They glowed with a soft amber light that seemed to pulse gently. When she moved, her steps were too smooth, like she was floating just above the ground. "Hello," Dr. Park Yeon said in a calm, pleasant voice. She wasn't looking directly at them, but somehow Kim Woo knew she was aware of their presence. "Oh, you must be the rescue team we've been expecting." Kim Woo stepped out from behind the crates, keeping his rifle pointed at her. "Dr. Park, I'm Sergeant Kim Woo. We're here to help. What happened to your research team?" She smiled, and her teeth seemed unusually white in the dim light. Help? Oh, you misunderstand. We don't need help anymore. We've been given something wonderful, something that makes us better than we were before. Private Lihana whispered nervously behind Kim Woo. Sir, her eyes. Dr. Park Yon turned her glowing gaze toward Lihana. Yes, beautiful, aren't they? This is just the beginning of the changes. Would you like to see what else has improved? Before anyone could react, Dr. Park Yon moved. She didn't run, she flowed across the room like water. In less than 2 seconds, she had crossed a distance that should have taken any normal person at least 5 seconds. She stopped right in front of Kim Woo, close enough that he could see the strange golden patterns moving slowly across her skin. Watch, she said softly. She reached over to a heavy metal table that normally required 2 people to move. With one hand, she lifted it completely off the ground and held it above her head. The table must have weighed at least 200 pounds, but she held it as easily as if it were made of paper. Corporal Park Day started backing away slowly. This isn't possible, he muttered. Dr. Park Yon gently set the table down and smiled. Again. Many things that seemed impossible are now quite simple. The specimen we found on the planet below, it gave us a gift. It shared its essence with us. Now we are something new, something better. Kim Woo kept his weapon trained on her, but his hands were shaking slightly. What kind of specimen? What did it do to you? She showed us what we could become, Dr. Park Yon explained, her voice full of genuine happiness. Her saliva contains something wonderful. It doesn't hurt us. It improves us. It makes us stronger, faster, smarter. It makes us part of something larger and more beautiful than humanity could ever be alone. Jin Soo and Bo Ram, the 2 soldiers at the back of the group, started moving toward the exit. They were trying to be quiet, but Dr. Park Yeon's head turned toward them instantly. Leaving so soon? She asked. But you haven't met her yet. She's been waiting to see you. Suddenly, more footsteps echoed from the corridors around them. Other people in lab coats appeared from different doorways. All of them had the same glowing amber eyes and unnaturally smooth movements. They didn't look threatening, but they blocked every possible exit route. Run! Kim Woo shouted to his team. Jin Soo and Bo Ram sprinted toward what looked like the clearest path, but the transformed researchers moved to intercept them. The chase lasted only seconds. The changed humans moved with impossible speed and coordination. Jin Soo and Bo Ram were surrounded before they could reach the corridor. The 2 soldiers weren't hurt, but hands with unusual strength held them firmly in place. They struggled briefly, then stopped when they realized how futile it was. Dr. Park. Yon walked over to Kim Woo again. Please don't be afraid. We don't want to harm anyone. We want to share this gift. Your friends will understand soon enough. Kim Woo backed away, pulling Lihana and Park Day with him toward the only exit that wasn't blocked yet. Kim Woo, Lihana, and Park Day retreated deeper into the station, desperately looking for another way out. The corridors seemed to stretch endlessly, and every turn led them further from their captured teammates. Behind them, they could hear the soft footsteps of the transformed researchers following at a distance, never rushing, never losing track of them. They found themselves in the station's lower levels, where the research labs housed the most dangerous specimens. The air felt different here, thicker somehow, with a strange, sweet smell that made Kim Woo's head feel dizzy. Emergency lighting flickered more frequently, creating an unsettling strobe effect. "Sir, look at this," Park Day whispered, pointing at the walls. The scratch marks they had seen earlier were everywhere down here. Deep gouges in the metal walls, ceiling and floor. Some areas looked like they had been partially melted and then reformed. The damage was extensive, but it seemed deliberate rather than random. They reached a large circular chamber at the station's center. This must have been the main research area, where the scientists studied their most important discoveries. Equipment was scattered everywhere but not destroyed, just moved aside as if someone had been making room for something much larger. That's when they heard it. A sound like water dripping, but heavier and more rhythmic. Drip, drip, drip. The sound came from the shadows at the far end of the chamber. "We should go back," Lihana whispered, but her voice carried an odd tremor. Something moved in the darkness. Not the quick, fluid movement of the transformed humans, but something slower and more deliberate. A figure began to emerge from the shadows, and Kim Woo felt his breath catch in his throat. She was tall, much taller than any human, with skin so pale it seemed to glow in the dim light. Silver markings covered her arms and face, in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and move, when Kim Woo wasn't looking directly at them. Her hair was long and white, flowing behind her like she was underwater, but her most striking feature was her mouth. Golden liquid dripped steadily from her lips, falling to the floor with that rhythmic dripping sound they had heard. The liquid glowed softly, and seemed to move on its own once it hit the ground, forming small streams that flowed toward the walls. Kim Woo raised his weapon, but his hands were shaking so badly he could barely aim. The creature, no, she was clearly intelligent, looked at him with eyes that seemed infinitely deep and patient. Then she spoke, but not with her voice. The words appeared directly in Kim Woo's mind, clear and gentle. "Welcome," the voice in his head said. "I am Lysara. You are—" "Not what I expected." Kim Woo forced himself to speak aloud. What are you? What did you do to the research team?" Lysara smiled, and more golden liquid dripped from her lips. "I gave them a gift. I do not conquer through violence as your species does. I transform, I improve, I make better. Park." Day took a step backward, but his movement seemed sluggish, as if he was moving through thick water. "The saliva," he said slowly. "It's in the air. We're breathing it." Lysara's voice continued in their minds. "Do not fear the change. 17 worlds have accepted my gift. 17 species now live as something greater than they were before. Your people interest me most of all." Footsteps echoed from the chamber. Entrance. Dr. Park Yeon entered, leading Jin Soo and Bo Ram. But Kim Woo's 2 soldiers were walking freely now, their eyes beginning to show the same amber glow he had seen in the transformed researchers. "Sir," Jin Soo said in his normal voice, though something was different about his tone, "she's not our enemy. She's showing us what we could become." Bo Ram nodded enthusiastically. "The fear goes away quickly. Then you see how beautiful it all is, how much stronger and smarter we can be." Kim Woo watched in horror as his soldiers approached Lysara willingly. She extended her hands toward them, and they each placed their palms against hers. More golden liquid flowed from her fingers onto their skin, and Kim Woo could see the change happening in real time. Their movements became more graceful, their eyes grew brighter, the tension and worry disappeared from their faces, replaced by an expression of pure contentment. "You see?" Lysara's mental voice was warm and inviting. "No pain, no death, only improvement, only evolution. Your species fascinates me, because you resist longer than others, but you still accept the gift eventually." Lee Hana grabbed Kim Woo's arm. "We have to get out of here now." But when they turned toward the exit, more transformed humans blocked their path. They weren't threatening, but they weren't moving aside either. Lysara's laughter echoed in their minds like silver bells. Kim Woo and Lee Hana ran through the station corridors as fast as they could. The sweet smell of Lysara's golden saliva seemed to follow them everywhere, making their heads spin and their thoughts cloudy. They needed to find somewhere safe, somewhere they could think clearly and figure out what to do next. The communications room, Kim Woo gasped as they turned another corner. "If we can reach the main array, maybe we can call for help." They found the communications center on the upper level of the station. Kim Woo quickly sealed the heavy metal door behind them and activated the emergency locks. The room was small but well protected, designed to withstand attacks during wartime. It might buy them some time. Lee Hana collapsed into a chair, breathing heavily. "Sir, what was that thing? And why did Jin Soo and Bo Ram just accept it?" Kim Woo moved to the main computer terminal and began accessing the station's research. "Files. I don't know, but there has to be information here. The scientists were studying something before this happened." The computer contained months of research data. Kim Woo scrolled through file after file, looking for anything that might explain what they were facing. Most of the early reports were routine, geological surveys, atmospheric readings, basic biological samples from the planet below. Then he found Dr. Song-Min Ah's personal research logs from 3 weeks ago. "Listen to this," Kim Woo said, reading from the screen. "Day 47. The specimen we discovered in the underground caverns is unlike anything in our databases. Initial scans suggest it's not from this planet originally. The creature seems to be in some kind of hibernation state, but brain activity remains high. Lee Hanna leaned over his shoulder to read along. Keep going. Day 52. The creature has awakened. She communicates through direct mental contact, claims to be a queen of her species. She seems genuinely curious about human biology rather than hostile. Dr. Park Yeon has volunteered for the first direct interaction. Kim Woo felt a chill as he continued reading. Day 53. Park Yeon's interaction was successful. The creature, she calls herself Lysara, shared some of her biological material with Park Yeon. The changes are remarkable. Enhanced strength, improved reflexes, heightened intelligence. Park Yeon reports feeling better than she ever has. That's when it started, Lee Hanna whispered. The final entries were disturbing. Day 58. The entire research team has now accepted Lysara's gift. The biological analysis shows that her saliva contains a complex retrovirus that rewrites human DNA at the cellular level. It doesn't replace our biology. It improves it. We are becoming something new, something better. Kim Woo leaned back in his chair, trying to process what he had read. It's like a virus, but one that makes people stronger instead of sick, and it makes them loyal to her. A soft knocking sound came from the door. Not aggressive pounding, just gentle tapping. Sergeant Kim Woo. It was Jin Soo's voice, but different somehow, calmer and more confident than before. We know you're in there. There's no need to hide. We want to talk. Kim Woo and Lee Hanna exchanged worried glances. Through the door's small window, they could see several figures standing in the corridor. All of them had the same amber glow in their eyes. Sir, Bo Ram's voice joined Jin Soo's. I know this seems scary, but it's actually amazing. I can think more clearly than I ever could before. I'm stronger, faster. I don't feel tired or hungry or worried anymore. It's like all the bad parts of being human just went away. Kim Woo noticed something odd as he listened to his former soldiers. Their voices sounded like themselves, but they were speaking with more confidence and clarity than he remembered. These weren't mindless zombies following orders. They seemed to genuinely believe what they were saying. He turned back to the computer and accessed the security cameras throughout the station. What he saw surprised him. The transformed humans weren't behaving like a typical hive mind. They were having conversations with each other, disagreeing about small things, showing individual personality traits. In one corridor, he watched Dr. Park Yeon arguing with another scientist about the best way to organize their research data. In the main lab, several transformed humans were working on different projects, each following their own interests and ideas. Lee Hanna, look at this, Kim Woo said, pointing at the monitors. They're not acting like robots. They still seem to be themselves, just changed. Lee Hanna studied the screens carefully. But they're all loyal to that thing, right? To Lysara? Maybe, Kim Woo said slowly. But look at this group here. He pointed to a camera showing 3 transformed humans having what appeared to be a heated discussion. If they were completely under her control, would they be arguing like that? The knocking at the door continued, patient but persistent. Please, Jin Soo's voice came through the metal. Just let us explain. We're still your team, sir. We're still ourselves. We're just better versions of ourselves. Kim Woo realized something important. The other species that Lysara had conquered might have been completely transformed, but humans seemed to be different. They were keeping more of their original personalities and independence than she expected. Maybe that was their advantage. Maybe that was how they could fight back. Kim Woo and Lee Hanna ran through the station corridors, their hearts pounding. Behind them, they could hear the soft footsteps of the transformed humans following at a steady pace. The sweet smell of Lysara's golden saliva seemed to cling to the air, making it hard to think clearly. There, Lee Hanna pointed ahead. The communications array. They burst through the heavy metal door and immediately began sealing it shut. Kim Woo activated every lock and security measure he could find. The communications room was built like a fortress, designed to withstand enemy attacks during wartime. It would have to do. As Kim Woo caught his breath, he noticed they weren't alone. Private Han Sol was sitting at one of the computer terminals, frantically typing. He looked up with relief when he saw them. "Sergeant, thank goodness you made it," Han Sol said. "I've been trying to send a distress signal, but something's jamming our communications." "How long have you been here?" Kim Woo asked. "Since the alarm started. I was running maintenance on the communication systems when everything went crazy. I sealed myself in and have been monitoring the situation through the security cameras." Kim Woo moved to the main computer terminal. "Show me what you found." Han Sol pulled up multiple screens showing different parts of the station. "Sir, you need to see this research data. I've been reading through the scientists' files. That creature, Lysara, her saliva contains something they call a retrovirus." "A what?" "It's like a biological program that rewrites human DNA," Han Sol explained in simple terms. "But it doesn't destroy our original biology. Instead, it adds new features. Enhanced strength, better reflexes, improved healing. It's like getting an upgrade to your body." Kim Woo studied the scientific reports on the screen. The language was complex, but the basic idea was clear. Lysara's saliva was changing humans, at the most fundamental level, turning them into something new. "But look at this," Han Sol continued, switching to the security camera feeds. "The transformed humans aren't acting like mindless slaves." On the monitors, Kim Woo could see various groups of changed humans throughout the station. What surprised him was how normal they seemed. They were talking to each other, working on projects, even laughing at jokes. Their eyes glowed amber and their movements were more graceful, but they still acted like individuals. In one of the labs, I watched Dr. Song Min-ah argue with Dr. Park Yeon about how to catalog their research, Han Sol said. If they were completely controlled by that alien queen, would they still disagree about things like that? Kim Woo leaned closer to the screens. "You're right. They look like they're still thinking for themselves." A gentle knocking came from the door, not aggressive pounding, just patient tapping. "Sergeant Kim Woo?" It was Jin Soo's voice, but it sounded different, more confident and calm than before. "We know you're in there. Can we talk?" Through the door's small reinforced window, Kim Woo could see several figures standing in the corridor. All of them had the distinctive amber glow in their eyes, but they weren't trying to break down the door or threatening them in any way. "Sir," Bo-Ram's voice joined in, "I know this looks scary from your perspective, but I promise we're still ourselves. Actually, we're better than we were before. I can think more clearly than I ever could. I'm stronger and faster, but I still remember everything about my life, my family, my hopes and dreams." Kim Woo exchanged glances with Han Sol and Lee Hana. "They sound like they really believe what they're saying. Maybe that's the problem," Lee Hana whispered. "What if the virus makes them think they're happy about the changes?" Han Sol pulled up more data on his screen. "Actually, sir, I've been comparing this to the research notes about the other 17 species that Lysara conquered. The reports suggest that other alien species were completely transformed. They lost their individual personalities and became perfect servants. But humans are different. It looks that way. According to these files, human biology is more complex and unpredictable than the other species she encountered. We're not transforming the way she expected us to." Kim Woo watched the security feeds more carefully. In one camera, he saw a group of transformed humans having what appeared to be a heated discussion. In another, a changed scientist was working alone on a project, completely focused on his own research rather than following group orders. They're retaining their independence, Kim Woo realized. Even after the transformation, they're still thinking like humans. The knocking continued, patient but persistent. "Please," Jin Soo's voice came through the metal door. "Just let us explain." "What's happening?" "We're still your team, sir. We're still the same people you've always known. We just have new abilities now." Kim Woo studied the monitors, showing transformed humans throughout the station. Some were working together in groups. Others were pursuing individual interests. They showed emotions, made personal choices, and maintained their unique personalities. Maybe this unpredictability was humanity's secret weapon against Lysara's control. The gentle knocking at the communications room door had stopped an hour ago, but Kim Woo knew they were still out there. Through the security cameras, He could see transformed humans positioned at key points throughout the station. They weren't trying to break in by force. Instead, they seemed to be waiting for something. "Sir, the air filtration system," Han Sol said suddenly, looking up from his computer terminal with worry in his eyes. "They've figured out how to introduce that golden substance through the ventilation." Kim Woo checked the atmospheric readings on his screen. The levels of foreign particles in the air were slowly increasing. It was subtle, but steady. "How long before it affects us?" "Maybe 2 hours at this rate," Han Sol replied, his voice shaking slightly. "We need to get out of here." Kim Woo studied the security monitors more carefully. The transformed humans had changed their strategy. Instead of waiting passively outside the door, they were now moving through the station with purpose. They split into small groups, covering every possible escape route from the communications center. "Look at how they move," Lee Hanna whispered, pointing at one of the screens. The changed humans moved differently than before. Their steps were silent and perfectly coordinated. They flowed through the corridors like water, avoiding the camera, angles as if they instinctively knew where to position themselves. It was predatory behavior, but organized and intelligent. Dr. Park Yeon appeared on the main corridor camera. She walked directly up to the communications room door and placed her hand flat against the metal surface. "Kim Woo," her voice came through the intercom system. She had somehow accessed the station's communication network. "I know you can hear me. We've been patient, but Lysara is becoming concerned about your resistance." Her voice sounded exactly like the Dr. Park Yeon from the personnel files, but there was something new underneath it. A confidence and certainty that hadn't been there before. "You're fighting against something wonderful," she continued. "I was terrified at first too. Change is always frightening. But now I can see things clearly for the first time in my life. The petty fears and doubts that used to consume my thoughts are gone. I'm still myself, but I'm the best version of myself." Han Sol was breathing heavily, and Kim Woo noticed his hands were trembling as he worked at the computer terminal. The increasing concentration of Lysara's influence in the air was starting to affect him. Jin Su's voice joined Dr. Park Yeon's through the speakers. "Sergeant, remember when I told you about my family back home? My sick mother, my younger sister, struggling in school? I used to worry about them constantly. Now I realize I can help them in ways I never imagined before. This gift, this evolution, it's not just for me. It's something I can share with everyone I care about." "Don't listen to them," Kim Woo said firmly to Han Sol and Lee Hanna. "They're not thinking clearly." But Bo Ram's voice came through next, and it sounded so sincere and hopeful. "Sir, do you remember how exhausted we all were after that last mission on Kepler Station? How we complained about our equipment being too heavy, about being too slow to keep up with the enemy? Those limitations don't exist anymore. We're better soldiers now. We're better people." Han Sol stopped typing and looked up at Kim Woo with confusion in his eyes. "Sir, what if they're right? What if this really is an improvement?" "Han Sol, stay focused," Kim Woo ordered. "Remember your training." Through the cameras, Kim Woo watched as more transformed humans gathered in the corridors around their position. They weren't aggressive or threatening. Instead, they looked genuinely concerned, like friends trying to help someone who was making a terrible mistake. Dr. Song Min-ah's voice came through the speakers next. "I've been monitoring your vital signs through the station's medical sensors. Your stress levels are dangerously high. Your heart rates are elevated, and you're showing signs of severe anxiety and fatigue. This resistance you're maintaining is literally killing you." Han Sol put his head in his hands. Maybe we should listen to what they have to say." "No," Kim Woo said sharply. "That's exactly what it wants us to think." But the voices continued, one after another. Every transformed human on the station seemed to be taking turns speaking to them. They talked about their fears disappearing, about feeling stronger and smarter, about being part of something larger and more meaningful than their individual lives. Lee Hanna was holding her head, trying to block out the voices. "There are so many of them. They all sound so happy." Han Sol stood up from his computer terminal. His eyes weren't glowing amber yet, but Kim Woo could see the change beginning. A strange calmness was spreading across his face. "Sir," Han Sol said quietly, "maybe we should open the door just to talk to them. They're still our friends." Kim Woo raised his weapon, pointing it at Han Sol. "Step away from the door controls, soldier." But Han Sol's hand was already moving toward the emergency release. "They're not our enemies, sir. They're trying to save us." The door began to slide. "Open!" The communications room door slid open with a soft hiss. Han Sol stepped through first, his movements already becoming more fluid and graceful. His eyes hadn't fully changed yet, but Kim Woo could see the amber glow beginning to flicker in them. "Han Sol, get back here!" Kim Woo shouted, but his soldier was already walking toward the group of transformed humans waiting in the corridor. Dr. Park Yeon extended her hand toward Han Sol with a gentle smile. "Welcome," she said softly. "You've made the right choice." Kim. Woo grabbed Lee Hana's arm and pulled her toward the emergency exit at the back of the communications room. They had maybe seconds before the transformed humans entered. The emergency shaft led to the station's maintenance tunnels. It was their only chance. They crawled through the narrow shaft as quickly as they could, the sound of voices echoing behind them. The transformed humans weren't chasing them aggressively. Instead, Kim Woo could hear them talking calmly to Han Sol, welcoming him like old friends. The maintenance tunnels were dark and cramped, but they provided a way to move through the station without being seen. Kim Woo led Lee Hana through the maze of pipes and electrical conduits, following emergency lighting toward the station's central hub. "Sir, where are we going?" Lee Hana whispered. "The central hub has an independent communication system," Woo replied. "If we can reach it, maybe we can send a warning to Earth." They emerged from the maintenance tunnels into the station's largest chamber. The central hub was a massive circular room that housed the main computer systems and power generators. Emergency lighting cast long shadows across the equipment, creating an eerie atmosphere. Kim Woo moved toward the communication console, but stopped when he heard footsteps behind them. Slow, deliberate footsteps that seemed to echo from everywhere. At once, "You are remarkably persistent," a voice said directly in his mind. Lysara stepped out from behind one of the large computer towers. Her pale skin seemed to glow in the dim light, and the silver markings on her arms pulsed with a rhythm like a heartbeat. Golden liquid dripped steadily from her lips, forming small pools on the floor that seemed to move on their own. Lee Hana raised her weapon, but her hands were shaking badly. The sweet smell of Lysara's presence was overwhelming in the enclosed space. "Put down your weapon, child." Lysara's mental voice was gentle but commanding. "You cannot harm me, and I do not wish to harm you." Kim Woo stepped protectively in front of Lee Hana. "What do you want from us?" Lysara tilted her head, studying him with those infinitely deep eyes. "You fascinate me, Kim Woo. In 17 worlds, across 17 different species, I have never encountered resistance like yours." She began walking slowly around them, her movements hypnotic and graceful. The Zephyrians of Kepler Prime submitted within days. The crystalline beings of Vega Station welcomed my gift immediately. The warrior clans of Proxima 7 fought briefly, then embraced the transformation completely. Kim Woo kept his rifle pointed at her, though he wasn't sure if bullets would have any effect. Maybe they were weak. Humans don't give up easily. Lysara laughed, and the sound was like silver bells, mixed with ocean waves. Weak? No, they were not weak, they were logical. They recognized improvement when they saw it. But humans, she paused directly in front of Kim Woo. Humans are different. The golden liquid dripping from her mouth began to glow brighter. Kim Woo could feel its influence in the air, making his thoughts fuzzy and his muscles relaxed. But something deep inside him, some core part of his human nature, rebelled against the foreign influence. Even after transformation, your species maintains fragments of rebellion, Lysara continued. Your Dr. Park Yeon still argues with her colleagues. Your soldiers still make individual choices. This should not be possible. She extended her hand toward Kim Woo. More golden liquid flowed from her fingertips, and the air around them became thick with its sweet scent. "I must understand this anomaly," she said. "I will transform you personally and observe how your mind resists the process." The golden substance in the air became so concentrated that Kim Woo felt like he was breathing liquid. His vision began to blur, and a warm, comfortable feeling spread through his body. Part of him wanted to step forward, to accept what she was offering. But another part of him, the stubborn part that had gotten him in trouble with superior officers throughout his military career, refused to submit. "No," he said through gritted teeth. Lysara's eyes widened with surprise. "You resist even direct exposure? Remarkable." Kim Woo took a step backward, fighting against the overwhelming urge to walk toward her. His human nature, all the contradictions and stubborn independence that made him difficult to command, was somehow protecting him from her influence. "Humans don't like being told what to do," he managed to say. "Even when it's good for us, Lee..." Hana collapsed beside him, her eyes beginning to show the amber glow. But Kim Woo remained standing, his will locked in battle against Lysara's biochemical control. For the first time since encountering her, Kim Woo saw something like uncertainty cross the alien queen's face. Kim Woo's legs finally gave out, and he collapsed to his knees in front of Lysara. The golden substance in the air was too thick to resist any longer. His vision blurred, and the warm, comfortable feeling spread through every part of his body. But deep in his mind, behind the fog of alien influence, a small part of him remained, aware and alert. "Finally," Lysara said with satisfaction, "even the most stubborn human will eventually accept improvement." Kim Woo let his body relax completely, allowing his eyes to take on the amber glow that marked the transformed. He stood up slowly, his movements becoming more fluid and graceful like the others. To anyone watching, he appeared to be just another converted human. "Welcome," Lysara said, placing her pale hand on his shoulder. "You will find that the fears and doubts that once troubled you are now gone." Kim Woo nodded and smiled, mimicking the expressions he had seen on the other transformed humans. "Yes," he said in a calm, peaceful voice, "I understand now. Thank you for this gift." But behind his glowing eyes, his real thoughts were racing. The transformation hadn't worked completely on him. Something about his stubborn human nature was allowing him to maintain his true consciousness while appearing to be under Lysara's control. Over the following days, Kim Woo moved freely through the station, pretending to be one of Lysara's loyal servants. He worked alongside the other transformed humans, attended their meetings and listened to their conversations. What he discovered surprised him. The changed humans weren't as perfectly controlled as Lysara believed. During their work shifts, Kim Woo overheard small complaints and disagreements. Dr. Song Min-ah quietly criticized some of Lysara's decisions. Jin Soo and Bo Ram made jokes that weren't entirely respectful toward their supposed queen. More importantly, Kim Woo began to notice that some of the transformed humans were acting strangely when Lysara wasn't around. They would pause in their work, stare off into the distance with confused expressions, or whisper to each other in hushed tones. One evening, while Kim Woo was working alone in one of the research labs, Dr. Park Yeon approached him. She looked around carefully to make sure they weren't being observed, then leaned close to him. "I know you're still in there," she whispered so quietly that even Kim Woo could barely hear her. Kim Woo continued working, not daring to react. "I don't understand what you mean," he said in the same calm tone all the transformed humans used. Dr. Park Yeon smiled, but it was different from the peaceful expressions the converted humans usually wore. This smile had a hint of the old mischief Kim Woo remembered from her personnel files. "The transformation didn't work properly on any of us," she continued in that barely audible whisper. "We're all still ourselves underneath. We're just pretending to be her perfect servants." Kim Woo felt a surge of hope, but he kept his expression neutral. "What are you talking about?" "Human biology is more complex than she expected," Dr. Park Yeon explained. "Her retrovirus was designed to work on simpler species, but humans have too many genetic variations, too many unpredictable factors. We got the physical improvements, the strength, the speed, the enhanced senses, but we kept our independence." She paused her work and looked directly at Kim Woo. "We've been organizing in secret. There are 12 of us who have maintained our true consciousness. We meet during the night shifts when Lysara is in her deep meditation state." Kim Woo risked a quick glance around the lab to make sure they were still alone. "What's the plan?" "We're using our enhanced abilities against her," Dr. Park Yeon said with satisfaction. "Jin Soo and Bo Ram have been sabotaging the communication systems she's been using to contact her species. Dr. Song Min-ah has been introducing errors into the genetic data she's collecting about human transformation. She leaned even closer. And Han Sol has been working on something special. He's figured out how to reverse the physical transformation while keeping the enhanced abilities. We could become fully human again, but stronger and smarter than we were before. Kim Woo felt excitement building in his chest, but he forced himself to remain calm. How many others know about this? More than you might think, Dr. Park Yon replied. The transformed humans from other species that Lysara conquered in the past, some of them are starting to break free too. Apparently being around humans is making them remember what independence feels like. That night, Kim Woo attended his first secret meeting of the Resistance. They gathered in an abandoned storage area deep in the station's lower levels. What he saw amazed him. Not only were the human resistors there, but also several aliens from other species that Lysara had supposedly conquered completely. A tall, crystalline being that must have been from Vega Station spoke in broken human language. Humans. Show. Thus, remember self. Fight back. Possible now. Dr. Song Min Ah stood up to address the group. Lysara's perfect system is falling apart because she never encountered a species like humans before. Our unpredictability is spreading to her other servants. Her empire is becoming unstable. Kim Woo realized that humanity's greatest weakness, their stubborn refusal to follow orders, and their chaotic, unpredictable nature, had become their greatest strength against Lysara's control. The resistance was growing, and they were about to strike back. The rebellion began at exactly 0300 hours during Lysara's deepest meditation cycle. Kim Woo had spent weeks studying her patterns, learning when she was most vulnerable. The alien queen retreated to the station's core chamber every night, entering a trance-like state where she recharged her biological systems. Dr. Park Yeon had positioned herself in the main laboratory, ready to execute the first phase of their plan. She looked perfectly calm and controlled, just like any other transformed human performing routine work, but her hands moved with purpose as she prepared a special mixture in the lab's chemical synthesizer. Phase 1 is ready, she whispered. Into her communicator. Han Sol, are you in position? Ready in the engineering section. Han Sol's voice crackled back. The modifications to the ventilation system are complete. When you give the signal, I can reverse the airflow throughout the entire station. Kim Woo was positioned near Lysara's meditation chamber with Jin Su and Bo Ram. They had spent days pretending to guard the area while actually planning how to trap their supposed queen inside. Remember, Kim Woo whispered to his team, we use her own weapons against her. Human creativity versus alien perfection. Dr. Park Yan had discovered something crucial during her weeks of secret research. Lysara's golden saliva wasn't just a transformation agent. It was also how she maintained control over her converted servants. But the chemical could be modified, turned into something that would disrupt her biological systems instead of enhancing them. Beginning phase 1 now, Dr. Park Yon announced quietly. She activated the chemical synthesizer, and a silver mist began flowing through the station's air circulation system. This was her masterpiece, a modified version of Lysara's own biological control agent, but altered using human scientific creativity to work in reverse. Within minutes, the effects became visible throughout the station. The transformed humans, who were still pretending to be under Lysara's control, suddenly straightened up, their amber eyes flickering and changing back to their natural colors. The fake obedience they had been maintaining was no longer necessary. It's working! Dr. Song Min-ah's excited voice came through the communicators. The last traces of her influence are being neutralized. Everyone is fully free now, but their celebration was cut short by a terrible sound echoing from the core chamber. Lysara's scream of rage was so powerful that it shook the entire station. She had sensed what was happening to her perfectly ordered system. Phase 2 now, Kim Woo ordered. Han Sol activated his modifications to the ventilation system. Instead of drawing air into Lysara's chamber, the fans began pushing air out, creating a sealed environment around her. She was now trapped in a space filled with the reverse-engineered version of her own biological weapon. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors as Lysara broke out of her meditation chamber. But she was moving differently now, less graceful, more desperate. The silver mist was affecting her just as her golden saliva had affected the humans. "She's coming," Bo-Ram reported through his communicator. "And she doesn't look happy." Kim Woo had positioned teams of resistance fighters throughout the station, but not in the way a traditional military commander would. Instead of following standard tactical formations, he had used typically human chaos and unpredictability to their advantage. When Lysara reached the main corridor, she found Jin Su and 2 other humans arguing loudly about which direction to go. It looked like typical human confusion and disorganization. She moved toward them, expecting easy targets. But the moment she got close, the arguing humans revealed hidden weapons and attacked in perfect coordination. Their enhanced abilities, combined with human tactical thinking, made them formidable opponents. Lysara dodged their attacks with inhuman speed, but she was already weakened by the silver mist. More importantly, she was confused. This wasn't how her converted servants were supposed to behave. "Impossible," she said, her mental voice filled with frustration. "You cannot resist. You cannot organize. Humans are chaos." "Exactly," Kim Woo's voice echoed through the station's communication system. "And chaos is what's going to defeat you." Teams of resistance fighters attacked from multiple directions, but not in any pattern Lysara could predict. Some groups retreated when she expected them to advance. Others stood their ground when logic said they should run. The human refusal to follow logical military strategy was driving her to desperation. Dr. Park Yeon appeared behind Lysara with a spray device filled with concentrated silver mist. "This is for trying to take away our free will," she said, and released the contents directly at the alien queen. Lysara stumbled, her perfect control finally breaking completely. The silver markings on her skin began to fade, and the golden liquid stopped flowing from her lips. "Your perfect system has one fatal flaw," Kim Woo said, as the resistance fighters surrounded her. "It was designed to control logical, predictable species. But humans are neither logical nor predictable." Lysara fell to her knees, looking around at the humans who had turned her own biological weapons against her. "How?" she whispered. "Human stubbornness," Kim Woo replied simply. "We don't like being told what to do, even by ourselves." 3 months after the rebellion, Research Outpost Gamma had transformed into something entirely new. Kim Woo stood on the observation deck, watching his people work in the rebuilt laboratories below. They moved with the enhanced grace and strength that Lysara's transformation had given them, but their actions were purely human, chaotic, creative, and wonderfully unpredictable. Dr. Park Yeon approached him, carrying a data tablet filled with their latest research results. Her eyes had returned to their natural brown color, but she still possessed the enhanced intelligence and reflexes from her transformation. Like all of them, she had kept the physical improvements while regaining complete mental freedom. "The communication with Earth went well," she reported with a smile. "The colonial administration is fascinated by our discoveries. They want to send a full scientific expedition to study what we've accomplished here." Kim Woo nodded, though he felt a mixture of excitement and concern. "Are we ready to share this with the rest of humanity?" "That's up to us to decide, Dr. Park Yeon replied. "We're not taking orders from anyone anymore, remember?" That was the most remarkable change of all. The hybrid humans, as they had started calling themselves, had developed a society unlike anything in human history. They possessed enhanced physical and mental abilities, but they had also embraced human independence and creativity to an even greater degree than before. In the laboratories below, Jin Su and Bo Ram were working on a project to help other species break free from Lysara's influence. They had already succeeded with several alien prisoners who had been brought to the station from other conquered worlds. The crystalline beings from Vega Station were now building their own independent settlement on the planet's surface. Han Sol had established a workshop where he was developing new technologies that combined human engineering with the biological insights they had gained from Lysara's science. His latest creation was a communication device that allowed the hybrid humans to share thoughts and emotions while still maintaining their individual personalities. "Look at this," Dr. Song-Minar called out, approaching them with obvious excitement. She had been studying the long-term effects of their transformation. "Our genetic modifications are stable, but they're also continuing to evolve. Each generation of children born here will be stronger and smarter than the last, but they'll also be more human than ever." Kim Woo looked through the observation window at a group of children playing in the station's recreation area. They were the offspring of the transformed humans, and they moved with incredible grace and intelligence. But they also argued, laughed, played pranks on each other, and showed all the wonderful chaos that made humans unique. "What about her?" Dr. Park Yan asked, gesturing toward the secured section of the station. Lysera was still alive, though no longer the terrifying alien queen she had once been. The silver mist had permanently altered her biology, breaking her connection to her hive mind control systems. She was essentially stranded on the station, unable to contact her species or regain her former power. Kim Woo had visited her several times over the past months. She spent most of her time in a state of confused fascination, trying to understand how her perfect system had been defeated by what she saw as an inferior species. "I want to talk to her again," Kim Woo said. He made his way to the secured laboratory where Lysera was kept. She was sitting by the window, staring out at the planet's surface, where the various species were building their new independent settlements. "How you have created something I never thought possible," Lysera said without turning around. Her mental voice was much weaker now, barely a whisper in Kim Woo's mind. "What's that?" Kim Woo asked. "A society that is both enhanced and free," she replied. "In 17 worlds across 17 species, I brought order and improvement. But you have brought improvement while keeping chaos." Kim Woo sat down across from her. "Maybe chaos isn't something to be eliminated. Maybe it's something to be celebrated." Lysera finally looked at him, and for the first time, Kim Woo saw something like respect in her ancient eyes. "Your species is unconquerable, not because you are strong, but because you refuse to be predictable. Even when offered perfection, you choose to remain beautifully flawed." "Being human isn't about being perfect," Kim Woo said. "It's about being ourselves, even when that's difficult or messy." Outside the window, hybrid human children were playing, with young aliens from a dozen different species, all of them free to grow up without the burden of hive mind control. They were building something new together, not perfect, but wonderfully alive with possibility. Lysera nodded slowly. "I understand now why my empire will never be complete. There will always be humans to introduce chaos into any system that tries to control them." Kim Woo smiled. "That's the point. Chaos isn't a bug in human nature. It's a feature. The colony they had built represented humanity's greatest strength, the ability to take any situation, no matter how hopeless, and turn it into an opportunity for growth and positive change."